Hello, hi. I'm Lisa from Little Walters Flower Farm. We garden in zone 7A, 7B outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland. We got a lot of things to show you on our little urban farm. So, we've been planting things out since March, and a variety of things have started to bloom outside of our tulips, which our tulip season is coming to an end. We're going to start up here in this kind of like cottagey type garden. It has big chip mulch. We got some feverfew, rudbeckia, status is starting to come on. We have some yarrow. There's some Amimagus amongst the daffodils that are gone to sleep. A lot of perennials have started to come out. So this is our phlox area over here. And that's a yarrow that's come up again. We got some lavender in here. Little lavender. Grew those from seed. I'm quite excited about that. I also grew eucalyptus from seed. I only had one that I didn't kill. So we'll see how that goes once I plant that out. Very excited. Planted out Lisianthus last weekend, not this past week. We have Roseanne Brown, Balboa Rose, Balboa Blue, and Blue Rim. And we get some of those are plugs, and the Roseanne Browns are ones that I grew from seed. It was me trying it for the first time ever. And it seems to be going okay. We had our first Nigella Love in the Mist bloom, and I'm actually waiting for the seed pods for this to put in bouquets. I need to succession sow this. So what I try to do is make sure that everything that we have up front, I kind of have a duplicate in the back. Well, I couldn't duplicate the fall sowing of this Nigella in the back because I was overwintering ranunculus and anemones, and those are coming to a close. So some area within there will get seeded with some Nigella because those are not cut and come again. Kind of like a one and done situation. Similar to sunflowers, coxcomb, a few other things. Anywho, also did some tomatoes, and we have a birdhouse gourd, which I'm very excited about for crafting purposes. Some amaranth. So a lot of my stuff is good for drying or fresh. So fresh first, obviously, and then of course drying. So my thought process for my bouquets that I have a bouquet club is I want my customers to have the bouquets for as long as possible. So not only do I try to provide things that will look great in a vase for a long period of time, but also that you can potentially save and hang, upside down and dry in a cool, moderately lit or dark space so that they can retain color. So you can have them for a long time, a long-lasting bouquet, or you can use them for cards and crafting. So you get your money's worth out of the bouquets that you get from Little Walters Flower Farm. That is for sure. Up here, I just recently planted some sorbet style or color celosia. We have asters, which has been out for a little bit, but I don't think they were in the last tour, so that would be new. And my favorite right now, look at all these snapdragons that are blooming. These were planted in October, and they are doing great. Look at this one. And they smell like bubblegum. And one of my favorite things is to make them talk. Oops, they're a little wet, so I don't know if I could do it. There we go. So those will be featured in bouquets this month, along with the tail end of tulips. So our end of the month bouquet folks will be definitely getting snapdragons, tulips, most likely not, but we will have some other things that will be in those bouquets. I am so proud of myself for growing for 10 months. Started them mid-July. Canterbury bells. They're so beautiful and gorgeous. Look at this purple one. Oh my gosh. So I wait until there's a couple blooms open before cutting that, and some of them need cutting so that they have longer stems, but they have just started to bloom and they will be in this month's bouquets, and I'm very, very excited. So to come, it will be happening. We got a lot growing up front right now. More celosia and the first succession of zinnias. I just planted the second one in the back. This was our first succession of sunflowers. If you remember, I planted these at the end of March and I put them under row cover so that I can hopefully get beginning of May Mother's Day blooms. And so they're a peach and a white, not the traditional orange colors, because I find those are more like spring summer. So I try to do like a peach and a white, and they're looking good. So I think we're on track for Mother's Day, which is great. Planted out another succession of them. I do that every 2 weeks, every 10 days, something like that. So up on a roadside bed, statice, got all the different colors of statice growing this year. Great for cutting and fresh and dried. A Lisianthus that I overwintered. This is the Balboa Rose. More statice. I'm growing a lot of statice this year. And I'm going to seed some more so that I can duplicate it in the back, because I currently don't have any duplicates in the back. We do have some landscape flowers that are coming out right now. I don't cut the bearded iris. That's more just for landscape. I do have Rudbeckia and Echinacea. I have 2 Rudbeckias and 1 Echinacea up here, as well as some daffodils that were up here, and some chrysanthemums. Those I typically use for crafting, like the flowers once they're dried. Scabiosa, look at this full patch of Scabiosa, potentially maybe too full. It's just starting to put, there we go, some buds on. So I'm excited to see that. I have a sangria color, all sorts of different colors, but I'm very excited for the sangria one. I don't grow very many red shades. The most red shades that I have is typically gladiolas. So very excited. Just planted out this top portion of the bed. We have bunny tails, frosted explosion, gomphrena. Statice has been out for a while. We have some snap peas that really didn't like the heat that came on, so they're a little slow. So I don't know if I'm going to get any blooms, but they definitely provide some sort of interest here on this trellis, so that's good. Eventually, once the peas are off of here, it'll likely be cucumbers. This is the Canterbury bells again. We have phlox down here, and it's 2 different types, art shades and caramel. Look at the tag. Cherry caramel. Apparently a lot of people had trouble with the seed for that this year. I had trouble with it last year, but I have the same seed and it worked this year. So I don't know, maybe it was my user error. I'm not blaming that other people are having user error, but that one apparently is a pain sometimes. We have some straw flower down here, but I've had an issue with squirrels, so I have some missing in that area, but I'm very excited for straw flower. I don't typically put a lot of straw flower in bouquets. I typically use it for dried stuff. So I don't grow as much straw flower as I could. We have some liatris. I just use this as height behind the blueberries. I don't pick it or anything. Our blueberries are doing well. And then my dahlias have come back. We had a very mild winter, but we did all the things I think we needed to do for, even if we didn't have a mild winter, for them to come back, which is good because then I don't have to buy dahlias every year. So we have a lot of dahlias here, Wizard of Oz. We have a few ball-sized, looking really nice. This one I do need to come in after it's done raining and cut it back so that we get nice, thin, long stems, not the chunky ones, because if you don't, they're like dahlias can have a thick trunk, so trying not to have that. And that one's ready. It's been growing for a while. Strawberries, all of the flowers. So excited for strawberry season. It's gonna be quite yummy. And those are June bearing, so one and done, not ever bearing ones. We got our blackberries, which are looking great, and they've already started putting on next year's growth, I think. So that's interesting. Berries are always an interesting thing to grow. These ever-bearing strawberries actually took out of a green stalk, and they are doing a bajillion times better here than they were when they were in a green stalk. So I'm utilizing my green stalks differently this year. This is loofah, and my hope is to grow it all on the deck. Last year it was on the front trellis, where I now have the tomatoes and birdhouse gourd, and man, that got real heavy and tilty, but we made it work. I'm hoping this year it will grow along the deck and it'll be really cool. Herb garden up here is looking really, really good. We do have some flowers that I need to pick off of the time, but I have time for that. Okay, anyways, hostas have come in over here. Hostas on the other side of the house keep getting eaten by the dogs. It's okay, they're edible. We have little lavenders. Oops, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, lavender, some yarrow, some mums, and these are giant mums, so it's not the ones you see in the grocery store. They're a little bit bigger, or maybe you see them in the grocery store. Mums are not considered a specialty flower, but they might find their way in the bouquets, or they might just be for crafting. Lavender along here that I hope will come back every year. It's English lavender, so it's also edible. Hopefully using it for syrups. I have an idea. I'm growing breadseed poppies. I want to make lemon poppy seed something or other. We have this like bake-off thing at work, and then I want to do syrup with the lavender and have a lavender lemonade that goes with the lemon breadseed poppies. That's what I want to do. I also want to use the poppy seed heads in floral arrangements as well. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. I have until July. I don't know if it'll happen by July, so it might have to be for another day. Might have to say things. These containers we installed along the deck are actually doing quite well. This was an oregano that I moved from something else. We have some thyme starting in here. And then these basils I pulled from inside. I don't know if they're gonna make it, but it's okay. I have more basil. This was kind of just a test. And parsley, which I think is actually doing okay. And will probably take off once it gets warmer. And this mum is probably the best one out of them all. The Rudbeckia has taken on a lot of growth. Rudbeckia takes forever. This is Cherokee Sunset. So more, I would say typically you would put it in like fall colored stuff, but I go by rules, but I don't really go by rules. Whatever fits, fits. So that's just what it's gonna be. Feverfew down here. I should have fall sown that. I didn't. We'll see what happens. I'm really excited about this area. I was very invested in making sure that this area had a lot more stuff to it because it just had daffodils last year. So this year it has status, and then we have the hostas, and then we have violas because it gets shady over here. So I'm hoping that they will be okay and last a fair amount of time in the season in this area, because once the sun shifts, there's a lot of space and time. Okay, so breadseed poppies also take freaking forever. Thought they weren't gonna work. I sprinkled the heck out of this bed. So now I've been transplanting the ones that are growing into different spots and spreading them out, yada yada yada. But we have growth from the dahlias that were planted here last season. So good signs. I'm trying in these planters to do some nasturtium, and I want it to be big and flowy and gorgeous, and they're edible and pretty once all this daffodil stuff dies out. We have Craspedia here. We have our first one. It's going to be kind of like a yellow poof ball, but it's not poofy or furry. But it's really great dried. It's really great in bouquets. So fun stuff. I have a whole bunch here, and some of them have started putting on the little yellow balls. Peppers are going to go there. Probably going to plant this out with basil. Took out radish. Does have some onion. Very excited about this area. All violas that I grew on my own. I'm going to grow so many more next year. They are delicious. Kind of have a wintergreen taste to them. I don't know. It's not everybody's thing, but they're pretty on top of cakes and cookies and so on and so forth, but they're kind of yummy. Anyways, they're very pretty in this corner, which gets a lot more shade, and they like that, so win-win. Haven't really printed out much here, but the lavender's starting to grow back. The lavender that I planted is doing well. The fountain, still loving that. This is kind of just a hodgepodge. I need to mulch it. I've realized that a lot of my gladiolas that I planted in this bed don't seem to be coming back. So I did sprinkle some cress in there to see if there was something funky with the soil. The cress started to grow, so I think I'm going to leave some of it, but I can find more gladiolas and plant more. I just don't know that I will do that because it is an expense, and if I don't need to do it, I don't need to do it. Strawberry bed, it's for the animals / Lillian, and planted out tomatoes. I do the back tomatoes. We have Berry's Crazy Cherry, Supremo, Black Strawberry, and something else. Oh, Cherry Falls, but that's more for planters because it's droopy. So I don't plant that in a bed. And then I front plant tomatoes with marigolds and basil. This is cinnamon basil, which I will use for cut flowers, for drying as well as bouquets. The only basil that I use for eating is just the regular run-of-the-mill Genovese basil, which I have in this entire green stalk here. These will get flipped. I'm currently using them as a trap crop. If you watched that video, you will have seen my two methods for pests, trap crops, and covering. This became a trap crop once aphids became an issue. Strawberries, but now there's a cucumber in there. Is it too early? Maybe. But I have extras, so we're trying it. We're doing it. The garlic is magnificent. Magnificent. I just spotted a squirrel that was digging in a flower bed. Gosh, they're jerks. So we have garlic here, garlic there. Look at these potatoes. This is our big potato patch. They're all in 20-gallon grow bags. Looking great. And then here is kind of the tail end of ranunculus and anemones. Some of these just started. They don't like the heat, so they likely will get pulled even more in the next week or two. This bed was just pulled yesterday or this weekend. We have marigolds and amaranth now in there in the back because they're going to get really tall, but I decided to just do zinnias as well in this spot. So these are all going to be the Queen Lime series, which are very antique-y colored. Blush, orange, and red are the three that I did, and I seeded those directly instead of starting them. I don't have a lot of success with starting zinnias. I don't know why, but I do really, really well when I start them in the ground. So the first time that I ever grew zinnias, it was so lush and robust when I started them in the ground. So I'm gonna try it this year this way. The ones up front were started. I don't know what they're gonna do. The onions, this is Candy and Walla Walla, are doing great back here. We have some up front. Look at this lettuce. Ooh, It looks so good, and I'm very excited by it. More potatoes, and then we have basil. So this is cardinal basil. It produces a really beautiful large flower. The leftover celosia, and some straw flower, and some breadseed poppy thrown in there, because why not? This area over here is just some lilac that I don't cut, but lilac's one of my favorite scents. Rudbeckia. And then I recently planted some little pods of gladiolas. As to why I unearthed those, because I couldn't plant there. Because there's apparently rocks underneath there that we forgot. They were there at one point in time when there was a pathway there, so oh well. And then the last thing that's kind of going on is just our planters on the deck. We got some nice leaf lettuce. We got some radish that are doing better now that it's sort of cooled down a little bit and not intense 90-degree heat in April. So May is bringing a little bit cooler temperatures. Mint that comes back every year, and I'm not convinced there's actually still soil in that bed. And then I just noticed today how much growth and color the beets have put on. So we have a whole green stalk of beets. I've never grown beets before, but they're doing quite well. This is rosemary, so I also have that too. And I have not planted out a whole bunch of things. They are still back in the greenhouse. Some extra stuff as well. That'll be gifting to some people too. We'll have some smaller dwarf-sized tomatoes going here. And then we have some stuff that is just up here starting. So we have some more snapdragons. These are the ones that do well in the summer. The ones that you saw in this video are ones that are better for early season and can be overwintered with the cooler temperatures. We have some more seeded sunflowers, which I think some creatures have been getting into, so I might actually need to open up the grow room again. But this is more celosia for another succession of that, just in case. The celosia that I have is cut and come again, but I want to make sure that I have enough because it's really pretty. So that is all. That is what is going on at the farm right now for May. I hope you enjoyed, and if you are looking for any bouquets and you are in the DC, College Park, Maryland area, go to our website, Little Walters Flower Farm, and send us an email. Bye!